Right, work-study balance. Next one. This is quite key, and I'm pretty sure everyone on this conversation call is there going, James, it just never happens. And I agree with you. When I was studying myself, I put on a lot of weight. I mean, it was not good. It was not good, Tom, to be honest with you. And I'll be honest with everyone here. I put on, it must have been easy over a stone and a half, because I just didn't do the same levels of exercise, or I didn't give myself the same level of breaks on there, and managing it along with the busy periods at work. Whereas now in my working life, I do short bursts at work, really effective, high concentration, and then have small gaps where I'll go for a little walk, listen to a podcast, give a friend a call, whatever it may be. So the best thing I can recommend for you is, and this is a real key thing I wish I'd have known earlier on, it's all about friction, okay? The easier you make having a work-study balance involving exercise or getting out there, going for a walk or having balance on it, the easier it becomes for you. So when I'm currently sat here, I've got my walking shoes on, or my running shoes on, that between work and sort of sessions, I'm already ready to go. That all I need to do is just put my headphones in and get my key, and then I can go 5-10 minutes, and I come back so much more refreshed. So before this session, had a 15-minute walk around, listening to a podcast, and I gave my mum a call as well. So yes, she's all good. But it puts me in a better mood for when I come here. I'm fully focused right now. My phone's on airplane mode. I can't even grab it or anything on those lines. And it's just looking after yourself, that it comes down to everything from your food and your consumption on there, on top of it. So the studies show that doing all-nighters and being sleep deprived actually causes you to retain less information. So having good key things to get written down in your notes to improve your studying for December. First one is exercise, increasing your steps or going for little jogs and breaking up your studies throughout the day for 5-10 minute walks. Next one is getting into a good sleeping pattern. And yes, I agree, there are nights before every exam where you lose sleep because you're so nervous. And I've been there, done that. But in the lead up to it, if you're getting a good night's sleep, you're going to be so much more effective in those revision sessions. That's the second one. Third one is water, okay? You need to hydrate yourself so that you keep your concentration going. At university, and I fell into the trap of this, you sometimes say, oh, well, exactly, Tom, yeah. Lots of people have energy drinks and Coca-Cola, and obviously I'm not going to get an advertising deal for Coca-Cola now saying this, but it's a case of these things are, yes, they've got sugar and they've got caffeine. You can have a coffee in the morning, whatever it may be, but making sure you're hydrated will increase your concentration and your longevity for the day. Same thing as well, interestingly, about number 4, about food. Lots of students fall into the trap of munching away whilst they're studying, or actually having a big lunch on those nights where they feel really full and lethargic. So in the afternoon session, they automatically become like they're yawning more and they feel a lot full for it. And think to yourself as well, during your examination, would you be able to have snacks whilst you're actually doing your actual exam? What I used to do is, well, I get up, leave my workstation, go for a walk, I go and sit on a bench or go outside, get some fresh air, and then go and eat away from a workstation, because then you're getting into the habit of, when you sat there in that environment, this is where I work, this is where I study, versus, oh, I do many things here. It's a case of, oh, I might watch a film, I might do this. It's just getting into better habits. And trust me, you will see the improvement and your concentration going up. It's a complete game changer for it. Because coming on to the next one there, past papers. Now, I get questions on this all the time. Number 1, where to find the past papers is the first one. They're all free. They're on ACCA's website, and the Viva team have put together will be putting together nice little collectives of where all the free resources are and how to actually make the most of them. So definitely make sure you check those out. And then, as you can see on here, comparing your solution and the actual mark scheme. Now, to add to this for your notes, number 1 is, first of all, you've got to do the past papers and the questions to time. Okay, so if you've got a 3-hour exam, there are 180 minutes in that exam for 100 marks, so 1.8 minutes per mark on there. Okay, so that's the first fundamental. So if you've got a 10-mark question, 18 minutes. And what I used to do, and I've done one video on this, is I used to put my phone on airplane mode so no one could get hold of me. And I used to have the stopwatch on there. Okay, so you put it in front of you, you press go, and you get into the mindset that you go, right, 18 minutes, it's go time now. Imagine this was the real exam. I've got to get down enough for this 10-mark question. I need 5 marks to pass it, thereabouts. Okay, so then when the 18 minutes is up, that is it. Then I used to go and mark and compare my solution. So this is what I wrote. This is what the answers are. And yes, they're not going to be exactly the same. And you could quite easily put down some relevant points. But the key thing here is you look at your work and you look at the answers and you say to yourself, honestly, James, have I done enough to pass? And you go, I used to say to myself, no, you haven't. If you do that in the real exam, you will fail. But then that's a little learning curve just to get better. You will progress from that. And the more you do, the better off you're going to be. So I hear lots of students say, James, if I do 1 or 2, is that okay? I would try and do as many as possible. If you do all the, think about it this way, if you do all the past papers available to you on ACCA's website that they've put on there for you for free, along with any mock tests like providers like Viva will put together for you, that is going to benefit you. You're going to be at an advantage going into your examination. So the ball's really in your court. Once you put in the time, it is going to be worth it on there. Burchin has put PM for December. What will be your best advice? Also, which paper to take together for professional level? Honestly, the professional level is a step up, and with doing, well, you've got 4 attempts per every year. If I was doing ACCA again, I would just do 1 at a time. Honestly, SBL, SBR with 2 option papers. Every time I did 2 papers together, I passed 1 and I failed 1. I would just do 1 at a time. But I was in a period where you only had 2 sittings a year. So that's my obvious excuse. You guys have got 4. So, you know, I would do 1 at a time on there for it. So best of luck, Burchin, on there. And we've talked about PM already. Section C, you've got to get on with that and not making silly mistakes in sections A and B for the multiple choice. Anonymous, can you provide tips for audit and assurance? F8, first key tip, apply back to the scenario. If you don't apply back to the scenario, you're not going to pass audit and assurance. I can tell you that now. Secondly is ethics on there. You've got to identify the ethical issue within the question, why it is a risk, and then how to actually go about rectifying that risk on there. And then thirdly, the technical articles, anything the examiner has written about that is topical at the moment on there. That would be what I would be definitely looking through, along with audit risk and business risk on there. Very important. Yes. Anna just put tips for F3, so financial accounting. Again, we've talked about that. It's the fundamentals. The computer-based examination for F3 is just so critical. And if you're not from an accounting background, this will be one of your first proper accounting examinations. So if you haven't gone through it, go through the syllabus in a lot more depth. So just keep referring back to it, question practice, writing down your mistakes, where you went wrong, and collating it. Use the study syllabus guide as a helpful tool just to collate it all together on there. Okay. So we've answered the anonymous one for F8 and audit and assurance. Ben's put on there, what order would you do the exams after the applied knowledge? To be honest with you, Ben, first one I would do is probably the financial reporting, because I've just done financial accounting. So if I've just done financial accounting, that links onto financial reporting, I'd get that one done first of all. Then I'd probably go and do law, or maybe do tax, depending when you are going to sit them. So I'm assuming you're probably going to do financial reporting in December. You could then do law in March and then do tax in June. That's what I would do if I was in your situation, and then treat yourself to whichever one after that. How much time Ali's put to do is enough to do for management accounting? Again, if you don't work in management accounting, I'd say minimum 2 months. Minimum 2 months. There are some real tough concepts on there. And just a word of advice, if you don't get management accounting at F2 and you just pass it and you try and go on to do performance management, oh my word, you're going to have to relook at your notes. You've got to really home in and understand it on there. Okay. Another anonymous, I'm going to be taking PM and FM in December. Aren't they lucky, Tom? 2 on there. Do you think this is a bad idea? Mainly because both of these papers have some similarities. If you're retaking any of those, anonymous, PM or FM, I would focus on the retake first. If you're starting out brand new, I would only pick one, because we are 6 weeks away, and to cover a full syllabus and to do enough past paper questions on it, I would take my chances and just do one. I would, rather than just going at 2 half-heartedly. So pick the one that you're most confident on. Melissa's put any guidance for performance management. They don't like PM on this, Tom. We're going to have to do a PM webinar. How can I approach the paper from the learning phase? Honestly, it's PM is all about, for section C, how you would lay out a variance question, how you would lay out break-even analysis, and just understanding all of the key concept areas. Have a look at the study syllabus guide on ACCA's website, Melissa, and go to the detailed study guide at the bottom. It breaks it down for you on there. Section A and Section B, the more question practice you do, use the online platform, because students make silly mistakes on there, because it's all, you've got different options. Jean's put, hi, what should I do to get exemptions in ICAW? So if you actually contact ICAW or ACCA have an exemptions calculator for it, where you get in contact with them, you show them your credentials, and they'll tell you how many exemptions you have. It's the same process for ICAW on there as well. So they'll say, yes, you get the first 3 papers exempt. So check that out, Jean. It's a free resource, and someone from the team will get back to you. Anonymous has put, any tips for substantive procedures on audit assurance? Oh my gosh. Do your workings up at the top, okay? That is the first key thing. And then show how it's applied to the scenario below, and time management on it. That's the key thing. If you don't answer the requirement on there and doing it to time with lots of question practice and applying the key words from the requirement on there, sorry, we don't have a name on this for anonymous, that is one of the key things. I mean, we could go into a lot more depth on this, but I want to make sure we answer all the questions. So I hope that helps, anonymous. And base your answers. Have a look at some of the model answers from some of the past papers. That's a really good way of going about it, because that is the standard of a substantive procedure question that ACCA expects you to demonstrate in your audit and assurance exam on there. So that's what I would do. Treat yourself after this. Go and log on. It's all on there. Cool. Swati's put, taking exemptions from the actual knowledge level is good or not. Look, if you've got an exemption from them, you should take them, but that's saying that you have gained the sufficient knowledge from there. If you're struggling on it, or you think, oh, it's been a long time since I've actually gained those exemptions, then you can actually go through, say, some of the technical articles, or relook at your books on there to actually look into it and revisit some of the core text. But if you're really struggling on it, focus in on the syllabus and really understand the core concepts on there. Livy's put, you've mentioned Atomic Habits and quoted Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek's good as well. I like him. There are other thinkers whose ideas inspire you when helping students like us, from Livy. Honestly, Livy, great question on that. I love watching these things. First one, if you need a bit of motivation for your day, as to say, like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Les Brown is a great motivational speaker. First one, where he just sort of gets you going in the day, because that guy has come through from complete hardship on there. Okay, first key one on there. Second one, Livy, is a guy called Jim Rowan. That's all about understanding why you want to complete ACCA, because you're going to add value to the market. And then also to say, well, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why do I bother to actually push myself? And it's all about getting comfortable being uncomfortable, because you want to actually progress in your life. You want to have a growth mindset, and you know the benefits that getting qualified with ACCA, or getting to part qualified, then getting to qualify, is going to add so much value to you on there as well. It's such a key thing. Even people like Will Smith, I listen to online, Matthew Mahoney, he's done some great talks online. So have a look at those. Dwayne Johnson puts out some good stuff. Kevin Hart as well. His story, he's failed hundreds of times on there, and you read it and you just go, he was so close to just giving up, but he just wouldn't have it, because it's in his mindset that, and the same way that I'm even going to quote Leicester City on here, that I think about all the time, it's just foxes never quit. And you just get these things going through your mind. I have it when it was like for running. I never used to like hills. I watched a podcast on it, and this guy didn't like hills. And he just said to himself, you know what? I love hills. It's great. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love hills as well. I'm out running every night. I love hills. It's great. Same thing on there. So I hope that helps, Libby.